What is the kind of critical role that MSMEs play or going to play when it comes to Indian economy? They continue to face challenges when it comes to comparing with the larger, enterprises as such.
MSMEs are the backbone of India's economy.
Yes.
To grow any business, you need debt
Yes.
and you need capital.
What are the 3 to 5 factors that one should look at as an MSME to make sure that they are able to get that credit?
I think the lack of any established or formal documentation
MSMEs are lifeblood of Indian economy. When it comes to MSME sector, the sector alone contributes 30% to India's GDP and 45% when it comes to India's national exports. Additionally, it also provides crucial employment to large portion of India's population. From local artisans to tech startups in a more urban setup, MSMEs are everywhere. In India today, we have close to 7 crore MSMEs, but out of that 7 crore MSMEs, only 3.5 crore MSMEs have availed any form of formal credit. 1 crore MSMEs are servicing any loan, a live loan today. So there is a gap that we see when it comes to credit for MSMEs. Indian government has done a lot when it comes to policy reforms for MSME sector and also new initiatives like PM Vishwakarma scheme, PM Employment Guarantee scheme, also credit guarantee scheme to make sure that there is a growth and a credit which is made viable for these MSME growth. If I refer the recent study, MSME Pulse, which is a joint study between TransUnion CIBIL and CIBIL, there is a good news. Credit to MSMEs have grown to 35 lakh crore at a healthy rate of 13% positive year on year. And all this growth has come at excellent asset quality. The underpinning delinquency levels have been lowest in the last 5 years. So that's a good news. But if we look at this sector, its importance for Indian economy, also the challenges that this sector faces, it makes a very interesting conversation. Today we are privileged to have with us Mr. Rakesh Singh, Executive Director and CEO NBFC Aditya Birla Capital, to delve into this very interesting topic. Welcome to the podcast, Mr. Singh.
Thanks for having me.
So when it comes to this topic, I think as a layman and everyone rather have one question. What is the kind of critical role that MSMEs play or going to play when it comes to Indian economy? And the second is, while they play such a critical role, they continue to face challenges when it comes to comparing with the larger, enterprises as such. So, how do you look at that?
So, you started the conversation by saying that MSMEs are the backbone of India's economy.
Yes.
They contribute close to 30% of the GDP of the country. But beyond that, I think the kind of employment generation, kind of export which they really support, I think that's quite impressive. And the role an MSME has to play in any economy,
Yes.
especially in a growing economy and in India's economy, I think they have to play a very, very important and critical role. We believe it's the backbone. Today it contributes 30%. It has to grow to 40 and 50% of India's overall economy. And they play such a critical role because even if you look at, as you mentioned, you have close to 70 million MSMEs in the country, which provides employment.
Yes.
Yeah. And even if a small business owners will have 5-6 people in their workshop or in their shop, I think that's employment generation. There are very few institutions who can really provide. So they play such an important role. But the challenges which they face, to grow any business, you need debt.
Yes.
And you need capital. And on both fronts, they really face challenge. Because to raise debt, you need cash flows, you need established cash flows, you need formal documents to really, which a lending institution can assess and can really arrive at a eligibility. So I think the lack of any established or formal documentation, in a way lack of collateral, because the lending institutions look at this segment at slightly higher risk and they would look at a collateral. And so you need to have a lot of these MSMEs to create that transparency in their financial statements, so that more and more lending institutions can underwrite and provide them the loan. As you mentioned, government has done enough and quite a lot over the last 5-10 years. If we have to go back, I think the credit guarantee scheme, which really helps MSMEs to borrow collateral free. So that's, but not too many MSMEs, they really know and they are aware of these schemes. So creating that awareness also is very, very important. So these are the challenges in terms of getting debt, and also they don't have access to the capital market to raise equity. So both sides, they face challenges in terms of getting money to kickstart their business or to grow the business to the next level. The way they really, if you look at, and you mentioned there's a huge gap, credit gap, which is there in this segment. And if they have to really kickstart the business, what do? They go borrow from friends, families at a very exorbitant interest rates. So that's how they really, today they run their businesses, and that's how these are the challenges which is there in the segment. But I must tell you, and you spoke about positive in terms of the CIBIL and the TransUnion has done this study in terms of the growth which we are seeing in this credit offtake for MSMEs. I think that's a very good start, because the formalization of economy which is happening, that is really helping MSMEs to come to the formal ambit of the credit, because of, if you look at digital payments, GST, Udyam registration, all of these enablers are there so that they can avail. So we are quite positive and bullish in terms of the role which the MSMEs will play in India, because in India there is an entrepreneurial culture which is there, and they are the forefront of that culture, and they really look at growing the business with all, as we call it in India, the jugaad culture. They are quite equipped and they're very agile, very flexible in terms of running their business. So very, very optimistic and bullish about this segment.
Yeah, so I'll definitely come to that, in terms of how they behave and when it comes to their operational nature of the MSME business. But you touched upon a very important aspect. And I too believe that growth of MSMEs is paved through credit or finances. And easier the access, it can fuel their growth.
Yeah.
So as a MSME, what are the few things that one should do to make sure that they are able to get that credit? And if I have to, let's say, number it, what are the 3 to 5 factors that one should look at as a MSME? Also, I believe you also spoke about awareness, financial awareness. So financial literacy and that awareness is very, very critical when it comes to MSME. Yeah. So what is it that MSMEs can do to make sure that they capacitize themselves when it comes to taking charge of their finances? What are the 3 to 5 factors, and then financial literacy, what they can do?
Yeah, so few things which they need to do is that they need to prepare a very credible documentation for their business in terms of formalizing their banking behavior. They're making more payments in the digital form or through the banking, reducing dependence on cash. Because when a lending institution looks at, they want to see established cash flows.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if they start building that, I think it's very, very important for them to really avail of credit from the institutions, whether it's a banks, whether the non-banks, or from other institutions which the governments have for these small businesses. So that's what they have to do first. Second, I think this entire awareness. And today there are schemes, there are policies of the government which really encourages MSMEs. Yeah, so they have to be aware. Also the digital literacy. I think because there are a lot of loans or which are the government schemes which is running and one can go access. So digital literacy in terms of being just aware of what the schemes are. Credit guarantee scheme which I spoke about. So collateral free loans can be taken from the banks or from the NBFC. So that's again awareness in terms of what kind of and see the discipline. See, at times what happens is you believe that it's okay to bounce a check and you can repay by the end of the month. Yeah, but that really builds a culture and a discipline, and that reflects in a bureau statement when we have to pull it out from a TransUnion or from anywhere else. I think that reflects. So building that discipline and culture is very, very important. And then there is also connecting it with a larger ecosystem. So one can, today there are large ecosystems, there are platforms, one can connect with the larger ecosystems. To give you an example, ONDC, which has been, though throughput is still fairly low on that platform, but once these small business owners can start connecting with a larger ecosystem, I think that will also help them in terms of coming into the formal ambit of the economy where things are transparent, things are happening, where you have established cash flows, you have the documentation which the lending institutions can really look at and assess the customer. So I think these are the few things which they should do it. Beyond that, as Government of India, you mentioned, the Government of India is doing quite a few things in terms of whether the increasing the credit guarantee cover from 5 to 10 crores, for women entrepreneurs, increasing it from 2 to 5 crores. And there are a lot of initiatives for startups. There are credit guarantee schemes. So I think there are a lot which is being done by the government, but the MSMEs will have to come forward and display that culture of discipline and culture of transparency.
So I think in a nutshell, while you're busy in driving business, it's also important to look at the discipline and creating that formal footprint for themselves.
Yes.
And some details which lenders can look at, and formal documentation which lenders can look at and can help them.
Yes.
In getting that formal credit. Great inputs. You were also, mentioning about certain behavior and certain, operational behaviors that, MSMEs display when it comes to comparing them with larger enterprises, right? So you also mentioned that there is a shift in how MSMEs behave today, how they operate, right? Have their behavior in terms of overall, whether it's their operations or overall behavior towards credit, have it changed, and have you seen what kind of changes have you seen?
Yes. I think if you see in the last 7-8 years, the formalization of economy which is taking place through the digital infrastructure which has been created by the government and the digital payments, UPI, I think that is creating a formal footprint of every transaction which one is doing.
Which is excellent.
Yeah. Also, the introduction of GST, if you look at GST, is another way of creating a formal in terms of what is your supplies and purchase. So all of that has really changed the behavior of the MSMEs. Also, the credit bureau has played a very important role. So if you look at on the consumer side, credit bureau is quite strong.
Absolutely.
But over the years, I think on the commercial side also, on the MSME side and on the business side also, the commercial bureau is strengthening.
Yes.
And now
Udyam registration for that matter.
Udyam registration, and almost 6.48 crore Udyam registration.
Tremendous growth.
Yeah, so I think all of this is, and they are aware of it in terms of that, and more awareness has to be created. But I am saying now people know that if you want to borrow, you have to show a discipline in terms of repayment, because if you don't, then the next loan might not come, or might come with a lot of attachments in terms of the conditions and all of that. So I think a lot of behavior change which we see in the MSMEs, but it's still a long way to go. I think also I was talking about earlier in terms of all these DPIs which has been created by Government of India and ONDC also. If you look at these small business owners are now registering themselves.
Yes.
Yeah. They are connecting with the large e-commerce players. I think these are the things which will really help further. In few things, it's early days, but I think things are picking up. As you also mentioned earlier, 13% growth year on year to the MSME. I think these are the things which will really help to take the credit to MSMEs even faster than what it has grown in the last couple of years.
Great. So we spoke about the credit growth. We spoke about a lot of great changes which are happening in terms of formalization of MSMEs. We also spoke about their behavior, changing behavior towards credit.
Yeah.
Do you also see lenders acknowledging this as a very important sector? There is always already a recognition in terms of how critical they are, but in terms of how lenders are now approaching towards this sector, is there any change to a traditional approach? Have you seen that also develop?
Oh, completely. And let me give our example. At Aditya Birla Capital, if you look at MSME is our growth driver, is the focus segment for us and focus sector for us. So if you look at almost 2/3 of our loan book is to the MSMEs. So we are clearly focused on this sector. And we know that this is going to be the growth driver, not in the next 3-5 years, but in the coming decades. And this provides us opportunity to really build business capabilities in this sector. So, and you will hear this not only from us, but from other financial institutions as well, because now I think the MSME, also because of the credit gap which exists, that provides the opportunity. It's a challenge. How do we reach out, and how do we assess the income? How do we assess the repayment capability and add and provide credit to many more MSMEs? So every institution now is really focused on this sector. We, as I said, it's a growth engine for us. It's a growth driver for us.
When it comes to analyzing or when it comes to access to credit for MSMEs, analytics today plays a very important role. And like you said, credit data, our commercial bureau has strengthened over years when it comes to commercial bureau data. Yeah. We also launched our CMR, our commercial rank, and now it is enhanced. It is more precise. We call it Credit Vision CMR. It covers wider population now.
Yeah.
And it becomes a very important tool when it comes to lenders, and they using it to enhance and catalyze the growth to credit, growth of credit to MSMEs as such. So how critical do you think this is going to play, and also overall role of analytics when it comes to credit to MSMEs as such?
So data analytics plays a very, very important role in terms of really understanding the customer behavior, understanding the customer repayment capability. I think it plays a very, very important role. Also in terms of building scorecards. So I think data and analytics is very, very important for us and for majority of the industry players. So if you look at what we did was, and let me give you a background. So as we started the conversation by saying we have 70 million MSMEs in India. But if you look at and if you delayer that, almost 95% plus is micro in nature. Yeah.
Yes.
Their needs are very small. Their needs are more like consumer segment. in terms of their needs are small ticket loans which they can really take to build their business or really grow their business.
And needs to be enabled faster.
Yes, because they want money when they have the order.
Yes.
Yeah, and not when you decide to give them. So, and also as an industry, we have done well in terms of catering to the medium enterprise, the small enterprise. But we haven't done well in terms of when it has to be dealt with the micro enterprise. Because as I mentioned, the ticket size is smaller, the cost of delivery is pretty high,
Yes.
and the needs are very similar to that of a consumer because a lot of them are proprietorship, partnerships. So I think that's the structure of their businesses. So what we did, and let me just talk about us, what we did is that we created our B2B platform, Udyog Plus. On that, what we have done is we have built digital loan journeys. So if someone is a small business owner is looking at availing a small ticket loan, there is a straight pass through, complete within a couple of minutes. The decisioning can be done and the money can be credited depending on our assessment, on our scorecards. The immediate decisioning is done. If the customer is looking at slightly higher ticket size, then we ask for additional documents. If the customer need is slightly higher, then even higher, then our credit managers reach out to the customers and assess on the ground. So data driven in today's age, and also I think in today's age we are talking about AI. How do we use AI? So we are clearly looking at not building only the scorecards, but in terms of automating the processes, automating the credit approval memos, decision assist for our underwriters. So using data and analytics to really reach out to this segment, and especially when you are reaching out to a small micro business owners where the ticket sizes are pretty small, I think it has to be tech driven, because if you try to process the file manually or physically, the cost of delivery itself will be so much that the unit economics does not work. So clearly data driven is what, so on our B2B platform Udyog Plus, we have built all these capabilities, not only the loan journeys, but we have brought in any other value added services which the customer is looking for or the small business owner is looking for. Whether it's accounting assistance which they are looking for, HR, payroll, all of this we bring on this platform to really help them. So clearly, I think going forward, more and more data, more and more analytics in terms of which customer. In terms of coming to the CMR, I think again that really helps us to have a very sharp focus in terms of decision making. And the capability of the customers, because intent of the customer, capability of the customer, all of this can be very sharply can be established. The credit worthiness of the customer can be established through this and helps us in taking very precise decisions. So I think we use that very, very regularly for our segment. And I think these are the tools and enablers which is needed for this sector to really cater to, because if the formalization of economy and formalization of credit has to take place, I think tools like CMR and all will play a very, very important role in terms of assessing the credit worthiness of the customer.
So many takeaways. Thank you so much for taking out time from your busy schedule and discussing this very critical topic with us. There are takeaways both for MSMEs and from anybody watching from lending community as well. Thank you so much, Mr. Rakesh.
Thanks for having me.
As we wrap up today's session, we will continue to bring you more insights and more such informative discussions in our series of podcasts from TransUnion CIBIL.